call this Jackson County Commission meeting for October 24th to order. Have a roll call.
District 1, Mr. Guthrie.
Present.
District 2, Mr. Bellwood. Present. District 3, Mr. Miller. Present. District 4, Mr. Leslie.
Present.
Chair also present.
Today we have a quorum present. We have our invocation by Mr. Porter and our pledge by Mr. Benton.
God, our Father in heaven, we're blessed, continually blessed to be citizens of this country and citizens of this county. We have so many blessings, so many freedoms. We pray we'll never take them for granted, and that those that we elect will protect those freedoms for us and help us protect those freedoms. God, we do pray for rain. We pray for rain for those that need rain for their livelihood and to make a living, but also to maintain the beauty of the surroundings around us. So God, we pray for that. We pray for continued blessings upon this commission and those in this county. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have next item, the approval of the agenda. We have 11 items on the agenda. Are there any changes before we proceed? Okay, if no changes, entertain a motion to approve the agenda with those 11 items. Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. So no more presentations, no public comments, no one signed up to speak. We have a minute from the September 26th meeting in our packet. Have any changes to that? Have a motion to approve the minutes as they were presented. Motion, have a second. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. We have no old business to move up straight on the new business. And the first item is regarding community correction letter support. This isn't a motion that has to be done or made today, or not necessarily a motion that has to be done. What I wanted to do is update everybody on what we're looking at with our community corrections agency. Last year, I think it was, we had found that we had some responsibilities and relationships with the community correction agency, that there's an application that would be necessary to be on file, and several other things that we saw that we did not have paperwork for. So we have been working with Mr. Brown and trying to gather a lot of that information. Two of the key things that we had requested were a financial audit as well as I don't know that I have that copy in here. The organization processes, what's the official term for that?
The community corrections plan?
Yes, the plan for community corrections, which is something we did not have on file either. So they had submitted both of those items. We had some questions on the plan I think that they were taking a look at, and they resubmitted that, and there are a few other things we wanted to discuss on that. And you have a copy in your packets of the audit that was presented to us a couple weeks ago as it was requested. So the question at hand at this point, and it's not something, again, that has to be determined today, I don't know what kind of time frame we're looking at. When is the latest that letter can be submitted?
I just need to get it to them. It was due September 30th.
Okay.
So we're just waiting on that.
Okay. So I think this is probably the first time you've all had an opportunity to look at this audit information that's been presented. But I wanted everybody to take a look at this and determine, going forward, how we wanted to move forward with this. We do, at some point, if we do continue, or if we submit the letter of support, we do need to have that application on file with us at some point in the very near future to move forward with that. Again, they've gotten most of the information. I think this financial audit was one of the last things that we had asked for. So I wanted everybody to take some time to review that and see if any questions or comments. So, are there any questions or comments at this time? Do you have anything that you'd like to add or say about that?
No, sir.
Okay.
If I could, Matthew, there's actually two audits. One is like a procedural audit,
Correct.
and then that's the thin one, and the one that's a little bit thicker is the financial.
Okay. And the procedural audit, I think we can receive, that's done annually, correct? The procedural audit?
That's correct.
By the the state department?
Actually, it's just an independent accountant.
Oh, okay, that doesn't proceed.
It's not performed by us, but an independent accountant does.
Okay. So again, we do need to make a decision on moving forward at some point. Actually, if there's no objections, and again, I'd like everybody to review this. If there are no objections, that does not need a decision by the commission to move forward with the letter. That's something we just signed every year. But I wanted everybody to take a look at this before we move forward with that, to make sure that we had our ducks in a row before we did that.
So they're asking just for a letter of support based on the audit, is that what? this is about?
Every year, they provide a letter of support that we have to sign. I'm the one that signed as the administrator for the county. But we sign that saying that the Jackson County Commission supports that organization so that they can receive, I'm not sure what all the purpose for that is. What is the purpose?
It's just our contract with the Department of Corrections requests that we get several letters of support, and they come from the judges, of course, the county commission. I think that's it on this contract. But, and this is the only one that we have outstanding that we have not received at this point.
So when it was brought up last year is when we realized that we actually had a role in this, other than just that letter of support, that we did have a responsibility with that application. If everybody, like I said, will take a look at that, review that, let me know if you have any thoughts or concerns. If not, then we can move forward with that, hopefully within the next week or two. All right? Any other questions or comments? Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Okay.
I do, well, actually, on the audit, the financial part, I do want to say, you know, in looking at that's revenues that stream all through community corrections, not just on the DOC contract that, and, you know, that I need the letter of recommendation, or the letter of support, rather. Those revenues are from all the community corrections, and I don't need, you know, a letter on all that, just on the DOC contract to present to the Department of Corrections.
Okay. Anything else?
So this letter from us is holding you up from filing your
Yes, sir. I mean, we get the letter every year, and we've already signed this year's contract. But DOC, I always have it early, the letter, but this year it's just holding me up on proceeding. I can't do much of anything else until I get the letter of support.
Okay.
Anything else? Any questions or comments? If there's any questions or comments, please let me know, you know, throughout the week, and if none, then we can probably proceed with how we proceed. All right. Okay. Next item is update or approved contract for updating electrical at the county boat ramp. We have two quotes that have been presented. Mr. Barnes, you want to discuss this or share this?
These are the two that's been bidding on it. I think they've bid on it two to three times. Seems like every time they bid on it, they go down a little bit further, but they all get a little bit closer too. So, you know, that's the two I got, that I got a copy of. And I got them before 10 o'clock today.
Now, again, this project is under the bid threshold, so we could approve this afternoon, Mr. Porter? Okay. So do we have any questions or comments before we proceed, if we choose to proceed?
This the lowest bidder, have they done any work down there before? Any experience with them?
Yes, they wired the new count spots in. We bought the material, they wired it in, and we paid them through a PO system. Anytime you have electrical work done, you gotta have a certified electrician before they'll put the power on down there. And the other one is, they've got the bid on the cabin and the office and that stuff.
The low bid's asking for a starter check. You know, I'm not,
I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Was that normal? Somebody asked for a starter check up front?
I think we did on the playground equipment, I think,
We did.
That was a portion of it up front.
so they could go ahead. That's the only one I know of. I mean, I don't know.
They're very close,
And like I say, they've been close every time, and they get a little cheaper every time.
Should we
So
go
we
again?
bid down there 3 times, it may not be necessary, you know.
Well, the one's offering for us to set up a material account, which in turn would save us sales tax. You know, the low bid is.
Yeah, we just took it through a PO.
I think both of them would be,
Yeah,
Willing to
both of them
do
be
that.
willing to do that, yeah.
that would be how we'd have to do it in order to.
Save the sales tax.
Correct. Any recommendations? Do you have a recommendation, Mr. Bond?
I mean, it don't matter to me. I just like to get it rewired so they would, so everybody would be satisfied down there.
No, they're not separating them, but I say give it a little bit.
What about the $5,000?
That's not uncommon.
It's not.
Say, I don't mind being with it all the time, especially with kidney guys.
You need to verify, the insurance and all with these.
That's why they have to get any experience with them before.
Yeah, he's got a $1 million general liability insurance. And I know TCB has it also. I mean, they didn't turn it in with those bids, but I'm positive they.
I'm sure they do.
So is that a motion, Mr. Greenwell? And that's pending, of course, approval. You said that they did already show that they have the liability insurance?
The first one did,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure TCB does too.
The motion to go with Claudia Electric, and can we have in that motion? Proof of-
Complimentary, yeah. Well, that license and insurance.
Can I guess he would have to drop a contract and have his, am I right? Or whoever, y'all vote on to get it.
There's a motion and a second by Mr. Guffey. Further discussion? Yes, any agreement needs to be taken care of. We'll get that to us. A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I recommend that you add in there, subject to execution of an acceptable contract.
Okay. You want to amend amend the motion to include that?
Yeah.
Amend the motion, have a second on the amendment. All in favor of amending the motion to include that? All those opposed? Okay. So as it stands, the motion is to approve the low bidder upon proof of the insurance, necessary insurances, as well as for the, say again, Mr. Porter.
Approval of an acceptable contract.
Okay. So, motion and a second on that. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Next items regarding the roads resurfacing. We discussed in the work session last week to approve the list in its entirety as our goal for resurfacing, that we would move forward with each district as far as we could each year. It looked like maybe the first project in each district, our commissioner could select within that district which one they chose to move forward with if they had a priority. But to approve the list in total as the upcoming projects over the next several years, of course, this list could be amended in the future. Is that correct? As to what was discussed last week? Recall that, Mr. Leatherwood?
I think so, yes.
Okay. So questions, comments on that? Is that what you understood last week?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions or comments? We have a motion to approve this list. Again, I think what we're looking at, 8 miles this first year, 6 miles this first year, is what we anticipated would be feasible.
Yes, sir. 7.5 to 8 plus the the outlier there, that's the coal tax project.
Okay.
Try to have that in as well.
So the coal tax, we'll probably move forward with this year, and then an additional 7 to 8 miles. So do we have a motion to approve this list?
Make that motion.
Motion, we have a second? Okay. Any discussion? And if we wish to push dollars even further to take from either the 112 or 116, that can be done at any time and apply to these projects, so, provided the funds are available. So motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Okay, next item is a motion of support for the constitutional amendments the state will have on November 2016 ballots. These were presented last week. All three of these, 3, 4, and 14, are ones that identify or are related to the county and have an impact, a direct impact on us. So what we discussed last week was just showing our support for these amendments and the need for them to pass if we want to move forward with that. It's not necessary, but it is something the ACCA has recommended. So any questions, comments? And I think you guys, a couple were out last week, so just to clarify what each of these are. Amendment number 3 allows for local issues that are the constitutional amendment to be controlled more by their local governments. In other words, if there was a law that was applicable just to Jackson County and it passed throughout the state, but Jackson County voted it down, it would not become law because Jackson County voted it down. It also allows for provisions in which that law, constitutional amendment, could come up in just Jackson County and not as a statewide referendum, if the legislature so chose. Item number 4 is give us ability to handle some administrative tasks. The example that's used is giving a law enforcement officer their badge after retirement. That's something that right now you have to have a local law in. That's one thing. I'm not sure if we may have a local law on that already, but this applies to several different things. It does not give us home rule. It does not allow us to raise taxes. Does not give any programs, additional programs that would allow us to infringe on property rights. We technically have some authorities with, what's the litter laws and things like that, but it doesn't give us any of those extra authorities that have not been given at this point. And then it doesn't allow us to interfere with the duties of other elected officials. So it's, again, just basic administrative day-to-day operations that this will allow for the county commissions to do. Item 14 is very important to us because it could affect several of our local bills. That could cost the county about roughly $500,000 if item 14 doesn't pass. Of course, that's a huge chunk of change that we can't afford to lose to our general fund. So this authorizes those local bills that have been placed on the books to remain on the books due to a possible error that's currently passed. The case that has brought this into question is working its way through the courts, if I understand correctly. So this is to prevent anything negative from occurring and basically mooting that case and making sure that the Constitution or the local laws in place are as they should be. Questions or comments on any of those? Do we want to move forward with the motion of support for these items?
Make a motion to support.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Okay, next item, appropriation from Commissioner Laurel and Millage Fund for the Volunteer Fire Association. I think this was something that had been discussed previously, and don't know that we ever voted on it, so we need to move forward with that. So we have a motion to approve. What was the total amount?
Yeah, it was 1,000 total.
Okay,
Some kind of printer or something, so the fire departments can have their name, their ID badges.
Okay. So do we have a motion to approve that?
Motion.
Motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Next item, motion to approve an employee resignation from the Public Works Department. You have a letter in your packets. Mr. Campbell, do you have anything you want to state on that?
No, sir. I would just reference the October 17th dated letter for that employee's resignation.
And we'd ask to advertise for this vacancy as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are there any just questions, comments? Have a motion to approve that resignation?
Make a motion to approve the resignation.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, say no. Next item is regarding termination of an employee from the Public Works Department and advertise for that vacancy. You have a copy of that letter in your packets. Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Campbell?
No, sir, I would just reference that October 20, 2016 dated letter, and then the attachment also of the acknowledgement of receipt of policy in question.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that?
That is a probationary employee, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve that termination?
So moved.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, next item is a motion to approve recommendations for the 5 vacant temp positions with the Public Works. You have a letter there with the 5 names for that, the rate and the recommended beginning service, is that correct? Effective date. Anything you'd like to add to that, Mr. Campbell?
No, sir.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Do we have a motion to approve this recommendation for these temp positions?
Make a motion.
Motion, second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Next item is regarding a motion to advertise, or motion to open a temporary custodial position for courthouse maintenance and advertise if necessary. The policy states that this can be appointed upon recommendation of the director. We would like to possibly open it for advertisement and possibly present a recommendation next week. The issue here, I think everyone is aware, we do have a member of our maintenance crew who is out been very sick. So we have a need for a temporary custodian. We follow the same guidelines as our other temporary positions with the same rate of pay as well as the maximum length of service. I think it's 2 6-month consecutive terms, is that correct, Mr. Porter? But again, this would be just for the first 6-month term in a temporary custodial position. So are there any questions or comments on this?
The one that's out's not a custodian. I'm a custodian.
That's where the need would be. Our current staff is assisting right now with some of the other duties. And as a temporary employee, this would be the recommendation from the department head, but this is where we find someone to assist the best. We will have some recommendations next week if this moves forward based on the selection process for this. So any questions or comments? Do we have a motion to advertise if necessary for this position?
Make that motion.
Motion in a second. Okay. Again, I'll mention next week's meeting, but we hope to have a recommendation next week. Okay, motion in a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Next item, motion to approve the change order for the park. This is for issue that arose a month or so ago regarding the sprinkler systems in the cabins. It was something that needed to be included in that process, and sprinkler system, alarm system, and smoke alarms in each of the cabins. You have the total amount there of the change order for that entire change. Do you have anything you want to say on this, Mr. Barnes?
No.
Okay. There was an option as to whether we needed to add a regress into both of the rooms or whether we added a sprinkler system. The sprinkler system was the lower cost option.
What was included in the original contract that was specified out to start with?
They were treating it as a single-family dwelling, and the language in the fire code says that since the occupants were transit in nature, they had to have a egress door or a sprinkler.
My understanding is it's been, well, I don't know what's been done in the past, but that this was held strictly to in this particular project. that we were held strictly to this requirement on this project. I don't know how that,
Not some other municipalities.
The firm we hired though, I would have figured they'd caught that. Wouldn't you?
I have no comment.
it was discussed, as I understand, it was discussed originally, however, it was not seen as necessary, did not believe it would be necessary. Other questions or comments?
And our inspectors are holding us to this, is that what you're saying?
Fire marshal, local fire marshal,
And the state.
state to unite the local fire.
Do we have an option in this case?
Not really, no. It's been waived in other municipalities, but it was up to the local fire marshal.
My understanding is with the change of rules or change of something, there's this is enforced at this point. And will be enforced going forward.
Has anybody from the county spoke with the fire marshal?
Yes. Actually, I think we had a meeting, it's been a few weeks ago with, who was in that meeting? Were you, Mr. Gray?
No.
Were you, Mr. Barnes?
No, sir.
Okay, yeah, the fire marshal, ourselves, and the engineer, or the architect, they were present, correct? To discuss what our options were, and there was no option that they were giving us other than to move forward with this. We had appealed that to the state fire marshal, and that's where we got the word that it had to be, we needed to stick with it.
It don't have to go in the office, right?
Do I?
It doesn't have to go in the office.
No.
Just the cabins, what the change order says. Fire extinguishers won't be moved.
If I don't take it out, then
We can move forward with this or hold off? Entertain a motion, how we want to
I
continue.
have a question about the tree removal. Was that not in the early planning stages? Was that not considered?
The 7 additional trees, do you know the details on the 7 additional trees?
Uh.
Or- Those were ones that we chose to have removed afterwards, correct? We chose to,
Well, you know, we went down there and picked out the ones that we was going to do. Now, the ones that was gonna be in the road and those kind of things, we didn't do it because they had to come out anyway. So I don't know if those was added in.
I believe the
Oh,
ones
no.
that are,
If these trees are standing in the way of construction, that should have been foreseen.
right, I believe these extra trees were the ones when we decided we were gonna fill in that ditch. I know that half of these trees came from the filling of
I
that
think
ditch.
a couple of them did, but some of them they was saying that they was too close to gonna be too close to the cabins. And those sort of things, so, you know, how many trees was it, 7?
So,
I mean, that's 7, that's a lot of trees to overlook when we're planning a project like that, in my opinion.
Is that the one that you discussed about, they're just saying it's too close to the cabin for a storm or something?
Right.
It really is not hindering the construction. They
It
just
wasn't-
think they're gonna follow on them, right?
Right,
Okay.
and they're thinking if you're not far enough away from them, once you start digging their foundation and stuff, then they're gonna disturb the roots and they'll die anyway. Well,
Gotcha.
you know, that could be a yay or nay, you know.
Yeah.
They could, or they couldn't.
that's for the trees. We can get a clarification on those if we need to. I believe 4 of them were in that ditch. I know of one other one that was on by the cabin that we chose to keep to begin with, and he said we may have to remove it, but we'll see.
The 7 trees proposed to take out, are they marked in any way now?
They're all gone now.
Are they already taken out?
Oh, so if we don't approve it, they're already gone?
They had to take them out before they would do the foundation.
Okay, so they're already gone.
I'm good with the trees. I'm disappointed that fire marshal wants us to spend $50,000 more on sprinklers, and I personally think we should hold off on that portion till we bring them to a meeting, see if we can't do something besides
You're
spending
welcome to
50
meet
grand.
with them, but they're stuck in the middle.
Oh, y'all already met with them?
Met with their local.
So that's up to y'all if we don't move forward. I'm not supporting that.
I don't
It's
believe
50 grand, and I don't think we should be held to any higher standard than anybody else.
Can the architect not take some of that blame and pay some of it?
My concern is if we don't do it and there is an accident in there, we're assuming the liability.
So in your dealings and experiences with them, they're not gonna change their mind.
I don't believe they will either. I don't know that there's any way that we'll get out of putting those sprinklers in. We may, I don't know of any way we could reduce the cost, but those sprinklers will have to end up in those cabins.
Yeah, we're adding smoke alarms in this change order too. Surely to God, we had smoke alarms when this was originally bid.
That's,
Now, that's something that,
Yep.
we'll have a discussion with the architect. Maybe they should assume some of that responsibility.
Yeah,
I make a motion we approve the removal of the trees.
have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion for the change order number 4. And a second. We have a second for that. So any discussion on this? Let's take this and let's discuss number 3 a little bit more. So for number 4, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, say no. Okay, for item number 3, how do we want to proceed with this? We did meet with the fire marshal, and it is going to be required, understanding there was an oversight on another portion of this. Do we want to set another meeting for a couple of commissioners to meet with and have this discussion?
When do we meet with the fire marshal or with KPS?
I think KPS, as I understand it, and anyone, obviously, if we want to set a meeting with the fire marshal, we can do that. But I don't see that there's any way that we're, that decision will be changed.
Will this hold up construction any whatsoever?
We've only got 2 out of the ground, is that correct?
They're framing on, they've got 2 frames, they're framing on 2 right now. I'm starting on another one.
Needs to be decided pretty quick, but we're not
yeah,
holding up.
I mean,
Is
with
that
the
right?
line and all their construction, it's gotta be done.
Right, that weren't, yeah.
We don't wanna hold nobody up.
A week or two will make a difference. A week or two will make a difference.
I don't know. You know more about how quickly we're moving.
2 weeks will make a difference.
We've got a meeting next week. Can we not add it to next week's agenda? That way, just a few days difference. So if there's anything we
Would
can
you
do.
like me to set up?
Isn't next week the 5th Monday?
Is we've got to make some appointments on some personnel.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll have that item on next week's agenda then, for change order number 3. Okay, next item, motion to approve the hiring committee recommendation for the vacant full-time bus driver. You'll have a letter in your packets for that. Any questions or comments on this? This was a vacancy made by a transfer from an individual from COA to the park, so this is filling that position. We have a motion to approve the recommendation.
That's a motion.
Motion, or a second?
Second motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say okay. Concludes the items on our agenda. Let's move on to our reports. Mr. Campbell?
No, sir.
Mr. Barnes? Mr. Porter? Mr. Manning? No, sir. Chief Deputy?
No, sir.
Mr. Denman? No. Mr. Miller?
No, sir.
Mr. Ledley?
No, sir.
Mr. Guthrie?
No, sir.
Okay, the only thing I have is that next Monday will be the last meeting we have, unless another special one's called, prior to the election, November 8th election. We do have some positions that are being interviewed this week for the probate office, so I would like to ask that we meet next week And I asked about next Monday morning, I think it was recommended at 9 o'clock. Would 9 o'clock work for everybody next Monday morning? So we will have a called meeting, 9 a.m., Monday the 31st, here. And the items on that agenda will be the probate positions, the possibility of any of the changes in maintenance, and then the item change order that was discussed. And we'll try to limit that, unless something else comes up, we'll try to limit the agenda to those items. So any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Motion and a second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed say no.